Welcome in. This is Manic and Chill. We are not going live, but we are on the eve of Thanksgiving. We are pre-recording this, Shane. This is Manic and Chill for week 13. And it's a show where we want to just give thanks to a lot of different things. Thanksgiving's coming up. It's a time to take a little time off, recharge, spend time with family, reflect, be thankful. We're over 75% of the way through the fantasy season, Shane. We have a lot to be thankful for. That's what we're going to talk about. We are going to catch up on some latest happenings in the Dynasty space with what happened in week 12. But welcome in, my friend. Happy early Thanksgiving show to you and to all the listeners that are watching that have supported us all year. This has been a fun year of Manic and Chill where you and I can just do whatever we want every single week, right?
There's been a lot of riffing, a whole lot of riffing. And I'm thankful for that because if we're being honest, that's the best role for me is letting you line it up for me and then me losing my mind for a little bit and then you bringing it back and then, just riffing back and forth. So I'm thankful for that. Thankful for you, as always. One of my best friends. Thankful for the people that watch the show. Otherwise, well, then we'd just be two weirdos recording this for each other. Like, that'd be really weird. And this is our first recorded episode of Manic and Chill in, I don't even know. Yeah, probably. Maybe we did one last year. I don't remember. But last time I remember, I think we were with DLF. That's the last time I remember recording one.
It probably was. There have been numerous iterations of Manic and Chill over the years. I think we've recorded some, but for the most part, we wanted to go live because honestly, I think we are better when we do go live because it is just you and I literally we talk, we text, we're in leagues together. We do the morning drive on Mondays, but we don't really get to sit down and actually talk to each other about, yes, we're friends. Yes, we're literally ingrained in Dynasty 24/7, 365, but I don't call you on a random Tuesday, Shane, what do you think about Jacoby Brissett? You know what I mean? We kind of just organically find out about it by talking on the various platforms. And this is one of those places where we just hit live and talk about some current events or things that have just happened. But let's talk week 12 real quick before we get into our thankfulness or the things we want to thank players, teams, communities, people, etc. We can get into that. But week 12, any takeaways from you in week 12? Any major... I had one that I wanted to bring up, but I wanted to see if you had anything on your mind, reactions.
I mean, I hate Dave Canales with the passion of 1,000 suns. So I lost multiple games. So two. I lost at least 2 games by 6 points or less. Rico Dowdle starting it, obviously, in my running back position. What does that moron do at the 1 yard line? He rolls out Bryce Young, one of the worst quarterbacks in the history of mankind, in any universe, any multiverse where they play football. He's one of the worst quarterbacks. And he throws an interception straight to, I don't even know who he was throwing to. His receiver, apparently he was a full second late from when he should have thrown and decided to throw it anyway. Still, I don't know why. Week 12 takeaways. Well, let me let you go because mine's just mean. Just being mean, basically.
Well, I think there was a few. Ray and I recorded the Trinity show for the members. So if you're watching this on Wednesday, you'll probably get that pretty soon as well. And we talked about the Michael Wilson back-to-back weeks and kind of what the Arizona offense looks like right now with Jacoby Brissett. It appears to be a team that is, we talked about it last week, but it appears to be a team that's going to fight in every single game. We may not even be able to figure out what they're playing for, but they're playing for something because they're making it entertaining. They're taking on good teams and keeping the games competitive. And it's been great for fantasy. And I don't think you're a numbers guy like I am. Like, we don't have to sit and watch every single play or every single player snap to have an opinion. But, dude, the Michael Wilson Trinity and usage from the last 2 weeks, it's kind of come out of nowhere. I do think the 150 pass attempts in 3 games has allowed the numbers to pop off the page for people. I do think, contrary to what some people have said, I do think Marvin Harrison could have done something similar to that if he would have had those 3 game scripts. But when you do what he did, 28 catches and over 300 yards, you don't just put that away because a guy comes back, Shane. They probably now, I compared it, is this a Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce situation with Tyler Warren? And you just need the offense to be able to now support 3 guys, and possibly the tight end is the one. Definitely McBride is the one. His role has been stable for 2 years. No, regardless who the quarterback is. But do we have a situation now where I'm not saying Michael Wilson over Marv, but you have to look at him much closer than you didn't come into the year respecting Alec Pierce as a real receiver.
I did.
And well, okay. If I told you Josh Downs,
you mean you
Alec
as the
Pierce,
community? Oh no, I was definitely.
I'm saying
more on
compared
Josh
to
Downs.
his peers, he didn't have any dynasty value. He was the guy that you wished would go away so Josh Downs could smash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And instead, he's become the second best option, maybe even the best option in some weeks. And it feels like that's kind of what you need Michael Wilson to be. But the key is the Colts have also been an environment that can support 2 or 3 weapons every single week, and you feel okay about it. Can the Cardinals continue that? That's the question. Like, because I don't think you put this back in the bag. I think there's a world where they actually win a couple games down the stretch, and they have Jacoby Brissett as the starter next year, Shane. As bad as that might be, that probably is not a winning formula.
No,
but this draft class probably isn't the one where you trade up to get a quarterback. I'm not sure it's any better than what they have right now. So what do you think?
No, and to the point about why they want to draft a quarterback, right? So if Brissett's the starter there next year, that means obviously they've moved on for Kyler Murray. So then they don't want to then draft a guy that they're kind of settling for. And that's what this quarterback class is, probably outside of, I don't know if Moore comes out and Ty Simpson. I don't know. A couple quarterbacks will be fine. But there's nobody that you go, oh, we have to have that guy. He's a franchise quarterback. I don't know the advanced metrics on it, but I feel like their defense is bad because every time I'm watching Red Zone, I'm seeing them come back from being down multiple scores. So maybe their defense isn't bad. I don't know, but they're down multiple scores a lot. Enough in the second half that Jacoby Brissett is absolutely just launching the ball left and right, which is also partly due to their running game not being very good. Trey Benson has been on the IR for 36 weeks now. We were told that he would probably be right back after the 4 weeks or whatever, but it's been, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks since then, and he hasn't come back. So I don't think there's any light at the end of the tunnel for their running game this year. So Jacoby's just going to have to keep throwing. Next year, maybe the defense will be better, but Jacoby's done enough to show you that you could win with him with the pass first offense. And I don't know if you fix the running back room next year. And if they don't, well, then they're still going to need a pass first offense. And yeah, if it's Trey McBride, who is, I guess, if you look at Indy, he's the Tyler Warren. What does that make Marv? Is Marv Josh Downs? Is he Alec Pierce?
No, I don't think Josh Downs is even relevant in the conversation. I think you're looking at Michael Pittman and Alec Pierce. I think one had a name, one had some value, one had a contract, one people expected to be a potential number 1 receiver, and the other one was please get out of the way so these other parts of the offense can smash. So I just wanted to bring that up as a comparison of what it could look like. So the question to you is Marvin Harrison overrated or is Michael Wilson now underrated? And that is, I think, one of those where, we've looked at the Cardinals many times on the Trinity show this year. Like, Marvin Harrison isn't bad. He has good usage. He's always had good usage. He's just left a little to be desired in terms of the execution. But at the same time, he just hasn't lived up to the expectations people had. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because he's getting really good usage, but people don't feel it on their teams. They go, you know what? This guy's a bust. This guy's overrated. He's probably like wide receiver 20, wide receiver 25, something like that. But because that's not wide receiver 4, people feel like they've been slighted. So they almost look for reasons to push him aside and say, oh, he's not as good as I thought. But really, it's because the expectations were too high. So I'm going to look up some trades. But which one is it? Is it Marv is overrated or Michael Wilson's currently underrated?
I think Marv is appropriately rated now. He's a wide receiver 17. So he's probably should be on KTC. He probably should be a top 25 wide receiver. But I don't know how much further inside of that he should really be. And part of that is, yes, look what Michael Wilson's done while he's been out. Like what was stopping Marv exactly from producing like this? I'm not smart enough to know what routes they're running and all that good stuff. I don't have the true media data to look it up. But I'll just say from the perspective of Michael Wilson can find a way to be a target hog, right? We go to the school that targets are earned, or at least we're the belief of the school that targets are earned. Michael Wilson goes out there and he's an absolute target hoover. He's getting everything thrown his way. Marvin Harrison's a fine target earner, He's a okay producer, but he's not elite at anything. It doesn't seem like. I mean, not in his first 2 years. And I know people want to criticize us. They think we don't watch enough football. I will tell you this, because of how much Kyler Murray I have, I watch a lot of Cardinal games. That is almost my second home team because, that's a lot of impact on my fantasy teams. There's nothing special about him, which is fine. You know what I mean? He's good. He's good. He's a good wide receiver in the league. But if you can get anyone to pay you a first plus for him, I think you have to do it. If you could get a wide receiver like Alec Pierce and a first, I would do it. Now, I don't even know if you could do that, but you're going to look up some trades, so maybe you'll tell me. But I guarantee a lot of these trades, I'm going to be on the other side as opposed to being on the Marvin Harrison side. There's been nothing and no reason for me to think that he's going to be elite. And you could say it was Kyler Murray was the problem, but he had games with Jacoby Brissett and he wasn't elite. Even the one game we thought he was going to break out, he disappeared after some early production.
So here's my premise. I think that Marv is probably overrated in the sense that he still can go down a little bit because receivers in the range where he probably stays or lives are going to be more volatile than you want to believe. They're not going to produce every single week. He's going to be down in that, the Jordan Addison type of range. You know what I mean? Where it's like, yeah, we know he's a good receiver. But if he lives in that volatile range, their value is going to be very much tied to, are they producing recently? Is their situation good? Is their quarterback good? Is their offense scoring points, etc.? So I'll give you some Marv trades. These are literally since the second Michael Wilson game. So we're talking the last 48 hours since we're recording this. We're recording it late on Tuesday. So, these are literally after the Michael Wilson game. Now, Marv is probably coming back in week 13. So you're going to get to see what it looks like when both the receivers are there and Trey McBride. And the good thing is they get Tampa Bay, who is terrible. That's a good matchup for the Cardinals to continue to score 30 points per game and, throw it 50 times a game. But here are 4 trades. So would you give up Marvin Harrison for Dak Prescott and a third?
Yes.
Okay. Would you give up Marvin Harrison for Devontae Adams straight up?
Yes.
Would you give up Marvin?
Real quick, that means I'm willing to take, in certain situations, I'm willing to take less than a first value, but go ahead.
Yep. Marvin Harrison and a 26 first for Justin Jefferson. Keep in mind is
I'm
probably producing. Yeah, you taking Justin Jefferson?
It's still Justin Jefferson. As soon as JJ McCarthy, hopefully he starts bouncing back this week with Max Brosmer.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
And then last trade is, would you add Trey Benson to Marvin Harrison? So you're getting 2 Cardinals and you're getting Quinshawn Judkins.
Yes.
Okay, so you would take the other side opposite of Marv. You were 4 for 4. So it kind of backs up with what you were saying. So let's look at now Michael Wilson trades in the same.
I've seen a bunch of Michael Wilsons going for seconds in my leagues. And I saw one, it was either Saturday or Sunday morning, definitely before the game. And hopefully whoever's in this league is watching, because I can't remember which league it was. But I basically, in the chat, I didn't say they were stupid or anything, but I was like, wow, that's really selling high. Because someone was like, sell high. And I'm like, that's really high. And someone, responded back like, oh, well, I think he could be a blah, blah, blah the rest of the year. I don't remember who that was, but I wanted to go back and say ooh, my bad, after he dropped, the 1,000 points again. But anyway.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot more Michael Wilson trades. So another thing that holds true is when a player pops off like this, whether the price is high or whether it's still a buy low, they're more popular. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's easier to move Michael Wilson this week than it ever has been in his entire life. Whether that's the price you want or not, there's probably more market or more action around the name than there would be in any other week. So here are some trades. I'm going to skip over the Michael Wilson for just commodity prices.
Okay.
A 28 second and third, 2 thirds, a third, 2 thirds. You see a lot of those trades. A third, a third, a third, a third, 2 fourths, a second, a third. There's a ton of trades where it's just for, I'm liquidating him, I'm not using him, you can have him, right?
Right.
And I think you would agree. The caveat is you need to start him. I can't imagine a world where your team is so good where you're not starting him, at least for another game, until you see how he gets used with Marvin Harrison, right?
Yeah, I mean,
but if you're not using him, you're not trading picks for him, I think. I think that's a fair assessment, right?
Yeah, you're not trading him to put him on your bench because you're trying to ride the wave right now. Right. And it's funny. Most teams, if you go through them, I have a few teams that I can't stick a guy like that in there. But there's a good bit of teams, if you look at your rosters, where you have some type of Michael Wilson-ish player in your starting lineup.
Well, and the key is you can always find a place. You just may have to trade something else and get more for it and then put him in that spot and bank that he's close to that. But here are some trades just for players. And I think you're going to be on the side of he's undervalued in these trades. Shane, would you give up Geno Smith for Michael Wilson?
Oh, goodness. Geno. Yes.
Okay. Here's an interesting one. Would you give up Keon Coleman for Michael Wilson? Aren't they basically the same thing, but one has points?
One has draft capital. The other doesn't. But one's been healthy and active multiple times by his team.
And that's a team that has absolutely no receivers anywhere. They have Brandon Cooks now, Shane.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't even looked at Keon Coleman's scoring, but I'd say Michael Wilson has probably outproduced him in 2 of his 3 seasons, 8.8, 9.7 fantasy points. But anyway, so without draft capital, like what is Keon Coleman? He's just someone. He's John Mechie.
Well, and here's the interesting ones. There's a bunch of trades and there's a theme. So I'm going to give you 2 more that are not this way, but then the others are very interesting. And this is, I didn't look at this before we recorded the Trinity show, but this is literally what I talked about on the Trinity show of what I think you can do. And it's funny that some of these deals follow that. Would you go up a 27-second for Michael Wilson and Wan'Dale Robinson?
Oh my God. What are we
doing?
Getting guys. All right. So if we're doing our thankful thing, that just made me remind me of Wan'Dale anyway. How you trade? Come on, guys.
Wan'Dale and Michael Wilson feel like the same 2 that are just, you're riding the wave. And
okay. Anyway, Wan'Dale even has more long-term value. If you wanted to look at
Wan'Dale's actually a pretty good receiver.
He is.
Okay. Now it gets interesting. I already mentioned the Keon Coleman one, right?
Mm-hmm.
All these other trades were 1-for-1 trades, same position.
Ooh.
Rashid Shaheed or Michael Wilson. I like Rashid Shaheed, but he's done nothing on the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, Rashid Shaheed's only value is production, right? And if he's not producing for you, then what good is he doing you? So yeah, give me Michael Wilson there.
Josh Downs or Michael Wilson. Same thing, right? Like if you're not startable, you're not. I mean, who cares? Like what are you waiting for with receivers in this range, other than can I play them in the short term? You know what I mean?
It's just that. Can I just say that's absolutely heartbreaking to me because I love Josh Downs and I really thought he was going to break out this year. So if I hold on to Josh Downs, it's only because of my priors. I can't give you a legitimate reason as to why you shouldn't.
But you wouldn't do that, right? Someone offers you Michael Wilson for Josh Downs, you're accepting it. Oh, come on, Shane.
Probably.
Okay.
I'd stare at it for a little bit, and I'd have to, I'd have to have one of those come to Jesus moments with myself.
You need someone to throw the cold water in your face. Like, Shane, wake up. Wake up.
Yep.
Michael Wilson and Sean Tucker for a second. I assume we'd pay a second, so getting Sean Tucker into it.
Well, he's done after this week. Bucky's back.
Well, but he's still a handcuff that's had 2 of the – Sean Tucker has 2 of the top 12 running back performances in the last 2 years.
I remember. Yeah. Yes.
Which is a player that I will always kind of hold as like a 3rd-round value as long as he's on a depth chart. Because if I get to use him 1 or 2 times a year, I'll probably know that I'm using him and I'm putting him in. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's a good trade if you can get that type of deal. I love getting the second piece thrown in, even if it's just a running back like that I can't start right now, but I can build towards my roster construction. But I think the takeaway is with the Trinity tool, being able to spot some of these things, there is still a lag in the equity of some of these players that have short-term usage in production that you should be able to buy into. Now, you may not want to pay a second. You may not even want to pay 2/3, but they're available. Look at the creative ways people have been able to get Michael Wilson. Late picks, random receivers that had more. What did you notice about the receivers besides Shaheed? Shaheed has already had a really good season last year. Josh Downs and Keon Coleman, what did they have? Draft capital to an extent or profile or both.
Yeah.
And people still follow that. And they're willing to hold on to that. And one of the edges is in ranges like this, where you're talking wide receiver 3s, 4s, flex starters. Who cares? Who cares? I'm not saying trade away every single receiver that's not smashing every week. But I'm also, are you trading away Josh Downs, Rashid Shaheed, or Keon Coleman? Are you scared that even if those guys turn it around, which they all could, that they're ever going to burn you the degree where you're remembering making this trade and it just cripples you?
No. You know what's funny about that is we never think in terms of that when we see a trade come through. Never. Like, we're never like, oh, that's an over. I mean, we're quick to go, oh, that's an overpay. But it's like, okay, but all right. So an overpay in what sense? Like, to your point, if the player that I'm giving up is never going to be anything more than he'll have flash wide receiver 2 weeks, but more likely he'll never be more than a wide receiver 4. Who cares if I'm trading for a wide receiver 2 that's just going to be a wide receiver 2 for 4 more weeks? Who gives a shit? Anyway, the wide receiver 2 that's going to give me those weeks over the next 4 weeks is more impactful than some wide receiver 4 I'll have for multiple years, unless it's best ball.
Well, and I can't harp on this enough. When you capture one of those big weeks and it's in your lineup, it's very hard to replicate the value of that. If you had Michael Wilson in your lineup the last 2 weeks, the amount of captured production you got for the price that you paid was so high, it's almost impossible to replicate that with any other move that you make. I'll say that again. If you captured those weeks, now if you didn't and you're trading for him now, then he obviously has to continue it for you to get something out of it. But if you just happen to have Michael Wilson in a lineup the last 2 weeks and you captured those points, I mean, he has 28 catches for 304 yards. That's almost 60 PPR points. And he didn't get a touchdown, Shane.
Yeah.
If you captured those games, you are, I mean, relative to his price before, which was what? A fourth? Like, I wouldn't even have paid a third before if I wasn't using him. So it was like somewhere between like a third and a fourth. You probably would have had to pay to pry him off somebody's roster. If you paid just even a third and you got that production in your lineup, the return per dollar that you got on that is so big, it can't even be replicated. You just chalk that up as that was a win. That I'm ahead in life a little bit because I captured those points. Whatever happens from here on out is gravy. But when you capture those moments, it's like starting the Sean Tucker when he has the 36 points. If you didn't, guess what? He probably hurt you because now you're chasing that performance for the next month. And then he never has a game like that again when you start him. And it just kind of becomes a negative.
I talk about this a lot. And that wide receiver 4 that you're holding on your roster because of his draft capital, same thing's going to happen with him. He's going to give you false hope. He's going to give you a 15-point week, and you're going to chase it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. You're going to sit him after that. He's going to pop. You're going to put him back in your lineup. Going to go cold again because that's what he is.
So we'll move on. We'll get into some of our thanks here in a second, but I had to ask, we talk about the stop loss, which is basically you're stopping before you bleed out entirely and you're just moving on. You're saying, I'm stopping this in its tracks and I'm moving on. Are we there yet? I know we talked about it a little bit last week. Are you willing to do that yet with JJ McCarthy?
Yes.
I mean, what's the lowest common denominator? What's the reserve price that if you have him and you're looking for, I mean, obviously it can come in different forms if you're looking for different production, but.
Well, it's funny because last Friday on the drive, we were saying seconds, right? I was saying, like, you couldn't give me Geno Smith for him. You couldn't give me, I was trying to think of someone else, Shador Sanders for him. Maybe that was this morning. Maybe that was Monday. I don't remember. Either way, he still holds some value in people's eyes. So I'm going to be less willing to just take whatever someone's going to throw my way because I still think hopefully I can get better. Now, that means if I think I can get better in my league, well, then I need to actually put that to the test. So if you send me an offer of Shador Sanders for my JJ McCarthy and I decline it, I should be checking out the rest of the league to prove to myself that I can do better. And if I can't, I come crawling back to you.
So only a couple trades. It's funny because I'm looking McCarthy. There's only been 3 JJ McCarthy trades in the last 2 days, which means I think a lot of people are dug in, right? The people that don't have him, they're no interest in paying the price for a former first-round quarterback, right? Like, he's as far away from that profile as you can get. Yeah. But it also tells me the people that have him have already dug their heels in and said, I have no choice but to just wait for hopefully a better moment. Because it is so low right now. I mean, look at this trade, Shane. I traded J.J. McCarthy, not me, but this deal. Yeah. I gave up J.J. McCarthy in a start 10, and I got back Marvin Mims and Cade Otton. Did I even get anything back? I can
You
play
got
Kate Otten
bodies.
if I needed a tight end, but that's a stretch.
You got bodies.
I got bodies.
You got human bodies. That's what you got.
The other two trades, though, and this is why there's literal like conviction on both sides. JJ McCarthy or a 28 first. And I know 28 is barely a real year.
I don't care.
But I assume you would take that and just walk away, right? Not even close.
That's a perfect way to start stockpiling for 2028, baby. Thank you. That's going to be, I love the 28 class right now. I was watching. I have no idea. Anyway.
You know why you love that 28 pick? Because it doesn't say JJ McCarthy on your roster anymore, right?
Exactly.
Last one. You gave up JJ McCarthy and you had to add a third, a big bad third, and you got back Daniel Jones. Are you doing that?
Absolutely.
Would you add a second to McCarthy to get Daniel Jones?
Yes. And that's even with knowing that Daniel Jones has kind of looked like Daniel Jones that we love and remember from the New York days kind of over the last few games. But even that is
but he doesn't look like Tim Boyle, right?
Right. Like right now, JJ McCarthy is playing like Brett Ripien, whatever, however you pronounce his name. It doesn't matter. Clayton Tune.
Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Yeah.
Well, that's the JJ McCarthy trades. Last one. You mentioned Shedeur Sanders. We got to talk about Shedeur Sanders. I know you drafted some Shedeur.
Yeah.
Did you get as much Shedeur as you wanted?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I traded him at one point after his preseason game. Pretty funny. I traded him like immediately for no. Well, yeah, I got 18%. 18% Shedeur Sanders. That's not bad.
No, that's more than me. I think I only had like 8%. I have traded some Shedeurs across the year when it looked like he wasn't going to get in there.
Yeah.
I threw him into deals. I spammed him for a third. I mean, I didn't hold as much as I actually drafted. I ended up, I think, drafting like 22% or something, and I've traded away 4 or 5 shares. But so you have a decent amount of Shedeur. Yeah, hasn't been a lot of Shedeur trade market, but where would it be for you? And we have to extrapolate here. Because I did get some shit for putting it out there that, Shedeur gets hated on, but these other quarterbacks suck. But we're dynasty analysts. Part of the asset Shedeur Sanders is more than what he does on the field, Shane. It just is. It is the amount of people that'll talk about him if he does anything. If negative or positive. If it's negative, you better believe if Shedeur Sanders looked like JJ McCarthy, the discourse would be he was a nepotism pick that should have never even been in the league. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But when he does something good, it goes the other way. I think that has to be factored in. How much that gets factored in or how much that's going to create demand for the market on him, I don't know. But what are your thoughts on him? Because he's starting the rest of the year probably. And Shane, there's a world. They still play 2 games that they have a really good chance of winning. I mean, they still play the Titans. They get the Niners at home. And they get the Bengals. Like, there's a world where he wins a game or 2 more. And they have to decide, like, is he the starter next year? What do you think?
I think he's the starter next year?
Well, I put it this way. I wouldn't bet on it right now. But he has the ability to play himself so that they don't draft to somebody else high enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He can play them out of the top 5. Put it that way. They're already picking out of the top 5 right now.
Yeah, I think he'll do enough. I do. I just partly though, it's because the class isn't good, right? The quarterback class isn't good. So there's no reason to reach for a quarterback.
Would you buy him?
Would I buy him?
With all that said, I think we can agree he has a decent chance to play the team out of replacing him next year. If he looks like terrible and they lose every game from here on out, they're going to be considering a quarterback. But if he wins 1 or 2 more games, he's going to captivate the fan base. He's going to be in the news. Every throw he makes, every mistake, every highlight, like it's going to be there front and center. And there is an appeal to that to an NFL franchise. So with all of that, like, are you Shedeur Sanders or Tyler Shuck?
Oh,
like he's already in the range where you kind of like him better than Tyler Shuck because I mean,
why'd you do that to me? I'm holding on to Tyler there. You know how much Tyler I have, by the way? 18%. 18%. Okay. Yeah, but I put a lot of stock in the Tyler Shuck second game, not so much in his first and third. So yeah, I'm still taking
You
Tyler.
mean the third game where he absolutely pooped the bed against the Atlanta Falcons, who were probably one of the worst teams over the last month?
Yeah. I'm just gonna ignore that. And
Ignore those bad games.
I'm
The
gonna
first
hold
and
out.
the third game, ignore those ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold out hope that that was just an anomaly, even though the anomalies outweigh the non-anomalies. I don't know what a non-anomaly.
You know, the good thing for Tyler Shuck is he still gets to, here's who he gets to face the rest of the year. You ready?
Yeah.
He gets to face the Jets and the Titans.
Let's go.
So those are like the line of demarcation games. If he loses against those two teams, then it's probably over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then it's time to give up. Yeah, there's definitely, like, if you can't smash in those matchups, it's time to move on.
So here's some Shedeur Sanders trades. You ready?
No, let's go.
Okay. There's not many of them, but they are talk about all over the map. So you just give me a yes or no, and you tell me if you want. You are giving a yes if you want the Shedeur Sanders side, and a no if you want the other side.
Okay.
You give up, well, Tyrone Tracy or Shedeur Sanders and Jonathan Brooks.
Tyrone.
Okay, so that's a no then, right?
No.
You do not want the Shedeur side.
No.
You'll take Tyrone Tracy.
You went through all that painstaking. This is what we're supposed to do, Shane. And the very first one didn't even follow the format. So no.
Okay, so you want the Tyrone Tracy side? I'm still not clear.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I want the Tyrone Tracy side.
Okay, so Shane likes Tyrone Tracy over Shedeur Sanders. All right. Shane, Jalen Milroe in a second or Shedeur Sanders? Is that a yes? You want Shedeur?
No.
Interesting. Do you even care about Jalen Milroe?
No, it's that second.
Just take the second and move on.
Milroe's just that. Oh, I feel better because I got a quarterback in the deal, even though calling him a quarterback is a stretch, but still.
So I assume you would take the 27 second and third over Shedeur easily then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not willing to actually pay anything for Shedeur, it seems.
Yeah. Shane, would you pay a 26th, third, and a fourth for Shedeur?
Smash. There you go. Yeah, there
Shane's got himself a Shedeur share.
And finally. Here's the thing, right? We've gotten more discerning about the picks we take, but I've also said this for a while. If I have a player that I think could ascend, or it's reasonable to think that they could ascend to a higher level of value, it's worth holding on to them, even if the risk of losing a third or a fourth. So if you have Shedeur Sanders, I see no reason to move him for a third or fourth. Personally, hold on to him unless you can get a second, because he could play himself into a second like that. That's easily within his range of possibilities.
Well, here's the beautiful thing about Shedeur is he faces the 49ers this week at home. So I think any home game where he's starting, they're going to be in it. You know what I mean? Just because of the way that the crowd will react to him. Like, I know the Browns are pretty much out of it, but their crowd will be behind Thanksgiving weekend. The Niners coming into town, they will be behind Shedeur. You know what I mean? Then the next two games, he gets to face the Titans and the Bears. So he gets to go up against the last two 101 picks in the NFL draft. So that's pretty cool. And then he ends the year with the Bills. And then he gets the Steelers at home in week 17. That could be a game that you don't think the Browns will want to end the Steelers season in week 17 at home. I mean, the narrative writes itself, Shane. I really think it does. So I do think that's the potential value gain for Shedeur is he doesn't even need to play great. He just needs to play himself into a narrative where there's a world where the Browns are picking 9th in the draft instead of 3rd. And yes, they have the extra first, but like you've said, like this isn't the draft class where you're going to give up multiple picks, 3 or 4 picks to go reach on a quarterback that you're not even guaranteed to get, because there might only be one quarterback that even is in consideration for the top 15, top 20 picks. So it just kind of feels like a narrative that could play itself out. You get them for a 3rd and a 4th, do that all day. I assume these deals are on the other side, Shane. Shedeur Sanders are a 27 first and Luke McCaffrey.
Lord, oh Lord, give me that first.
And then here's another one, Shedeur Sanders for a 27 first. So as much as you may get cussed at if you spam him for a first in your league, someone did it.
Yeah.
Someone.
So look, I've talked about this too. I don't, there's a reason I don't talk about trash trade offers a lot anymore, because I've seen damn near everything. So I'm probably sending some of those out myself.
I assume you'd add a second to Shedeur to get a first.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, you can go a step further. You can add something to him that you can live without and still try to get a first that way. I don't think that's out of bounds at all to do that. So that was fun talking through the Shedeur Sanders market. We got about 25 minutes left. It's Thanksgiving. There's a lot of things we're very thankful for. First off, we're thankful for DD Fantasy Football, the platform, everything that we've put into to get us to where we are. There's been some ups and some downs. There's been some failed shows, some failed content, things we've had to back out of, things we've had to cancel, things we've had to move on from. But it's always been you and I, man. Like, we've been podcasting together for 6+ years and doing this show together for 5+ years. We've been at like 3 or 4 different ventures at the same time. So I'm thankful for DD, but more importantly, thankful for you. Like, we don't always agree. There's a lot of times we actually don't see eye to eye and we spar a little bit, but I can always count on you to jump on the stage or jump on here and we have a good dialogue. And I think people do enjoy. We have different personalities. We have different ways of presenting information. And I think people enjoy that flow. They always have, which is why this show has survived now like 4 different channels. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So thankful for you and DD. Just everything we have going on. It's pretty cool that we could do this every week and, you know, we can make a little money out of it, have a community that we've built. Like, all that's pretty cool, but don't take it for granted because not everybody gets that opportunity. So thank you, Shane.
No, that's awesome. No, you still, I can't. So if I just say, oh, there's no way for me to sound as good.
You got to top that shit. Come on.
I don't have the emotional depth to do that, but no, yeah, everything you said in reverse. So it's, one of my favorite things is getting to talk to you 3-4 times a day, whatever, or a week, whatever, you know what I mean? And then knowing that I can always count on you. You know, and like I said, DD, obviously DD too. Ray has been awesome. The last, 2 years now we've been here? Yeah. 2 years now. Ray has absolutely been awesome. It's just, I don't know how else to say it. He just, in every way imaginable you could think, he's been awesome. And then again, obviously the community's awesome. I love that, you could go into one of our Discord channels at any time and then put something in there and someone's going to respond to you. Yeah, I think that's it. Look, I'll say this, not to be all sappy. Every day above ground is a good day, right? I think the older I get, the more I value time and what it is. So, I enjoy, or I like that I get to do something that I enjoy that is a reprieve from some of the things I don't like. Like if I'm having a bad day, it's Wednesday, I'm cool. I'll go talk to Scott at, 8:00. And my day will be better. So, yeah, thankful for that. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, man, I think that's super important. I mean, we both get caught up in like trying to be perfectionists sometimes and kind of treating this like a second job. You know what I mean? But in the end, it's not really a second job. It's the old saying, when you like what you do, you don't feel like you're working. And that's something that I wish I've had my entire life. I obviously haven't. I don't think you have. But when you find something like that, like you really want to try to embrace it and make it the best that you can and make the most of it. Don't take it for granted. And that, I like that you give a shout out to the community, because the community, we have so many people. There's too many people to even thank that have been supporting us, always jumping in streams, always engaging for years.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking going back to, 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
When we were nobodies. And it's like that is pretty cool to have some of those same people that are here. And they don't need to be your best friend. You know what I mean? They don't need to be somebody you talk to all the time, but they're consistent. And sometimes you even only know them by an avatar or a screen name, but you're like, oh yeah, that person. And it does really feel like you could reach out to them privately and you may have never talked to them, but you could talk to them and they'd be like, I got your back. You know what I mean? And that's not something you can just create. That's not something you can buy. That's not something you can go, oh, I'm going to start that today and you have it overnight. Like, it does have to come organically. And I'm very thankful that we've been able to, have this opportunity and platform to have that over the years. I want to thank Jeff. Jeff does all our thumbnails.
Yeah. Thanks,
so
Jeff.
He's one of my best friends in the whole world. I've known him since I was 5 years old. and he just happens to do decent thumbnails, decent graphics. And so I'm like, hey, jump on board. And so all the thumbnails you've seen, a lot of the graphics, a lot of the overlays. We've had some other people that have made some graphics for us, which has been awesome. But especially him for doing the thumbnails. The crazy Shane with the pumpkin head and the turkey avatar or the turkey thumbnail that we've had. I mean, he does all the ones for Dynasty Deal Show. So some of the cool ones that we've had there. So shout out to him for all the thumbnails, for all the shows that we do. Shout out to Jeff for those. Any other non-player, non-football stuff that you're thankful for that you want to give a shout out? This is the time. This is just you and I.
I mean, like, I'm not going to get into the outside fantasy football life stuff, but look, I'm just thankful to be here, man. I'm just thankful to be here. Like I said, it's we get to do something we enjoy every week, multiple times a week. So yeah, we can get to the football stuff though.
Yeah, I'll just keep it a blanket. All the people in our lives that support us, you know what I mean? That support, like, hey, that's cool that you do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whether you share it, whether you like it, whether you engage with it, like all of that, even outside of our community itself, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, we have 20 minutes or so. So let's get to our thanks. Let's keep it with the thanks. We could turn this negative. We could do a show that is the opposite of thanks, but let's keep it thankful. So let's just start. Players, teams, what is it? Thankful for stuff in the fantasy industry or the football industry?
Let's go with players.
Okay, what you got?
Should I go? Who am I going to go? Am I going to go Rico Dowdle? I'm just going to go Rico Dowdle.
Who's the biggest one? I'm going to start with a scientific breakdown, Shane. Who do you have the most exposure to that you've probably captured the most production from?
Oh, geez. Wan'Dale Robinson.
Okay.
Rico Dowdle.
Okay.
Cool 30% share. Where's Jacoby? Where are you at, Jacoby? Yep, Jacoby, 18% of my leagues. And thank you, Jacoby, for bailing out a lot of my Kyler leagues. And I got to be honest with you, just in general, I'm thankful for old ass men. Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers. All right, Mac Jones isn't an old guy, but he kind of plays like an unk. So Mac Jones, even though he really isn't, just old ass quarterbacks in general. But yeah, Jacoby would be the leader of the pack there.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, it's funny because I'm looking right now, I have 24% Kyler Murray. And a lot of that was just a sunk cost. You know, I've just buried him. I'm not trading him for what people are offering me. So I've just parked those 24% to the bottom of my teams. But I have 23% Jacoby Brissett. They're not all the Kyler teams, but I've been able to use a lot of the Jacoby Brissetts that I've had. So I don't want to say it's a 1-for-1 replacement, but I've probably gotten a lot of starts out of the Jacoby Brissett shares that I had similar to Kyler. So I'm same with that. I have 20% Mac Jones. So I've been able to capture a lot of the Mac Jones starts this year. And that seems like one, I think with Jacoby and Mac Jones, they've been so good this year that I actually think you get some future.
Yeah.
It's never a guaranteed future, but I think both of them get legitimate shots, especially Mac Jones, at another run of starts. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't just going to be, Jacoby's a backup forever again. We're never going to put him in there again. Like, when you do what he's doing right now, that is the guy you call when you need a guy for 6 weeks. You know, that is the guy that the Falcons call when they want somebody until Michael Penix is ready. Like, that's the type of opportunity that he's earned. So I don't even think these guys like go back to baseline after the year. I think both of them, especially Mac, are going to be even more desirable. So thankful for those. Any other quarterbacks that you have?
No, but you know what? I got to be a little, just going back. I don't want to harp on it, but there's like lessons you learn, right? And these guys have shown me that I don't need to get rid of a quarterback as soon as he has some value.
Oh, for sure.
That's they show me like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to hold on to Mac because Mac's going to always have value, right? Unless he gets a couple, like unless he turns into Jake Browning, which that can happen too. But yeah, there's no reason for me to immediately move off of them.
I think the top. I don't want to go every backup in the league, but I think the top 20-ish backups, if they get in as a starter and they even just show they are the clear backup and can operate the offense functionally, right when they go back to the bench, like this is one that's been around. He's been in the same role for like 5 years now, but 3-4 years ago, and even last year, Shane, I probably would have sold Mason Rudolph for a third. But you know what? I might still sell him for a third in certain spots, but I'm not sweating if I have to hold him for another year. You know what I mean? Because it feels like he could do what he did this past week, and he didn't have a great game, but he went in and he scored, I think, 13 points, which can be very much like game script and weapon dependent, etc. But like, I'm not rushing to just get rid of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's a backup. So I think a lot of backups, like I'm kind of setting a floor price. Like I need at least a third. And just because they're not starting today doesn't mean I'm just going to hand them over because they're a backup. I think that has been a thing that's changed with the any quarterback on a 2-deep strategy. So that's a good shout out. What about tight ends? You thankful for some tight? Are you thankful for the rookie tight end class this year that has come on and gotten people excited for the position again? So we can now force 3 or 4 tight ends into rookie drafts next year because people are going to be chasing the next Gadsden or Fannin, and it probably ends up going right back to where it was. What about the tight ends?
There's tight ends have been disappointing for me, to be honest with you.
I'm
So I don't want to go
for?
there. Not the rookie
tight end. I'm
Yeah.
thankful for Travis Kelce because he's continued to produce, even in a year where people kind of wrote him off. Like, be honest, did you write Travis Kelce off before this season?
Yeah. I wrote him off like 2 years ago.
Where do you think he ranks right now in scoring?
Tight end 6.
He is actually the tight end 3 overall and the tight end 5 in points per game.
Well, that's, well, I assume you're talking about points per game when you ask that, Scott. Let's be serious here, bro.
But still, he's right there with George Kittle, Jake Ferguson, Brock Bowers. So just saying, like, he's not great. He's not what he used to be. But even his bad or his in decline has still survived as like, oh yeah, he's a very strong, like, I'll just start him every week and live with the results. So I'm thankful for Travis Kelce. He was cheap, Shane. Remember the rumor that he's getting married and he's going to retire for sure?
Yeah.
He might not even play this year. And if you've gotten him, like, you've gotten a lot of production for the cost. So I'm thankful for Travis Kelce. Probably not a lot of people are saying that over the last couple of years that they're thankful for Travis Kelce, but here we are. But continue your point on tight ends.
No, I didn't have a point. The tight ends, except for, I was going to say, like, the rookies have been fine, but some of the tight ends I counted on absolutely just punched me all year. You know, Dallas Goedert. Here you go. Yeah. Dallas Goedert for the first 5 weeks of the season was an absolute treasure. He's been pretty much garbage since, but he gave me 5 weeks where he helped me pull out wins. So I can't be mad at him.
Anything else at tight end, or is that just we're thankful that it's pretty bad across the board, at least from like a difference making perspective, that it's actually pretty easy to solve. And it still is. I actually think the tight ends are going to be overvalued this offseason. People are going to buy into Loveland and Fannin and Gadsden. It's like, oh, they're going to just get, what's the old adage? They're going to get 20% better because they got a year older.
Yep.
And you know what I would love for Colston Loveland to do? About 14 points per game, like Travis Kelce. You know what I mean? If he just gets there, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's awesome. But anyway, what else?
I already hit my boy Rico Dowdle. Rico. So as long as Dave Canales, the only person that can stop Rico Dowdle is Dave Canales.
Here we go.
I'm not going to get into a negative rant about head coaches trying to show the world that they're smarter than the rest of us. But no, Rico's given you multiple games where he not only helped you win, he might have carried you to a win. Specifically, he had like two monster weeks, and then he's had a couple other good weeks sprinkled in there. And it's a guy that nobody liked in the offseason because, well, frankly, his situation looked like it sucked. He went to Carolina where they had just re-signed Chubb. Meanwhile, all my bitching, and he scored 15 points last night still. Anyway, nobody thought he had any shot to do anything. Just signed Chuba to a bunch of money. Chuba was the workhorse there last year. Dowdle got, I don't know if he got the vet minimum, but damn near close to it. So he was a literally low-cost acquisition. A lot of my rosters, he's just someone that was sitting there from last year. And I never moved him because I liked him and I wanted to see where he would land. And then when he landed in a bad spot, no one would trade for him of any value. So I held on to him. So, yeah, Rico, that's my guy.
Well, sticking with that theme, I'm thankful for the following players that have really helped in a strategy that I will be very curious to see if it holds going into the offseason. But Shane, I'm thankful for the following players. The RB9, Javonte Williams. The RB14, Travis Etienne. The RB18, DeAndre Swift. The RB21, Jalen Warren. And I know he got injured, but the RB22 when he got injured, J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
And that's including the game he got injured. So, like, that group of running backs right there I think those are the 5 this year that I think people assumed were going to get pushed out of the way because they, quote unquote, weren't that great, or the current regime didn't love them, or, you know what I mean? The narrative overplayed the hand a little bit. And if you just had those guys and you just collected them, didn't even mean you bought them, you just collected them. And you're like, I acknowledge that if all I get is this one chunk of season production from those guys, it's a win. And you've already gotten it. You've gotten plenty of it, to the point where I have a team where I'm starting 3 of those guys. And you know what? I expect them to go away at some point. You know what I mean? It could happen at any week, but it's already one of those situations where you're way ahead of what you paid for that group of running backs. It's going to be interesting to see who the next group of running backs like that is, Shane. Guys that maybe finish the season on a little bit of a down note. And are they going to be cheaper next year? Like, do you see a world next year where maybe Kyron Williams is a little bit cheaper?
Yeah. I mean, his production has been dipping year by year, and his work share has been reducing this year with Blake Corum. And the narrative is going to be he's 20. What is he going? He's 26 at that point. The good thing about Kyron Williams, just while we're talking about it, it's not like he's going to lose any explosion because he doesn't have any. So he's pretty much going to be the same guy that he is at 25, at 30. He's going to be able to do it until he physically can't. It's not because he's going to lose speed or anything like that. He's a guy that I'm guilty of it. A lot of people just expect to have a downfall.
Do you see a world where Josh Jacobs is a little bit cheaper?
Only because he's old.
Okay. Saquon?
Yeah, Saquon is absolutely going to be. You're going to be able to get a lot of discount Saquon.
Yeah,
rightfully so.
And those, especially Jacobs and Saquon and probably Kyron, like those guys were probably on a little bit of a higher tier than the ones I mentioned.
Yeah.
But I think the point is, like, when you find these players that have kind of been ostracized a little bit or fallen out of favor of the community,
collect them.
It's possible that they come back. I mean, you remember DeAndre Swift and Travis Etienne at one time were like, and Javonte Williams too.
Yeah,
they were all like it guys in fan. J.K. Dobbins. I mean, they were all like, this is the next Ashton Genty. Maybe not to that level, but this is the next Travion. This is the next Judkins. You know what I mean? Like, they were there 4 or 5 years ago. And so when they bounce back, like, you know who I could see bouncing back like that? The only bad thing is he's going to probably change teams. Kenneth Walker could be that guy.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, I don't know how good he is. And then all of a sudden he shows up somewhere and it's like, wow, he has 1,300 yards and 18 touchdowns, Shane. Who knew he was capable of that? So I'm thankful for that strategy. I'm going to be very curious to see how available some of those types are. As much as it pains me to say it, you know who I'm probably not going to buy back in at their market next year on? Travis Etienne. Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift. Like, people are going to expect them to be top 24 again. And it's like, I don't want to pay a late first, early second to get them anymore. Like, let's move on to the next tier of running backs that are kind of the same archetype. But thankful for the 2025 season that those guys have given us. Anything else to you, running back wise?
No, I mean, you just picked off a bunch of them. I mean, you know what? I'm happy for is cheap receiving work. Thank God for PPR leagues, because if not for receiving work, Ashton Genty's season would be not great. Rico Dowdle wouldn't have given me 15 points last night. So thank God for just cheap receptions. Love it.
Yeah,
keep giving them.
Well, speaking of cheap receptions, I mean, thank God for the Trinity tool.
Yes.
Doesn't it feel like easier now than ever to be able to spot like what wide receiver 4 you want versus what it felt like a couple years ago? Any receivers that stick out to you that there's plenty of them that have outproduced what their expectation was coming into the year? But I'm going to ask you it's got to be ones you've been able to capture some of that. Like, it's great to say, oh yeah, thank you for this player having a better season than everybody expected. But any that you can think of that you've actually taken advantage of? You already mentioned Wandale.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I didn't remember if I did, to be honest with you. So let me just look at my what's that? So a lot of Wandale, Keenan Allen, beginning of the season, he was very useful to us. Devontae Adams, a lot of people thought he was going to be washed, or not washed, but it would be hard for him to produce with Puka. Who else we got here? No, these guys aren't low. I'm just looking; these guys are too good to put in here. Tez Johnson gave me a couple weeks. Chamiri DK might be the first time I pronounced that correctly. DK, he's giving me some good weeks, and he's very, very cheap. Chris Olave, considering where he was, he's not as cheap as some of these other guys.
Stephon Diggs a little bit. He's had some games.
Steph a couple weeks, Kayshon Boutte, Steph Diggs. Problem with them is then I chased those weeks, and only in those specific instances for some reason. I chased those weeks. Like, I quickly gave up on Keenan Allen. It didn't take long. But Steph Diggs, it took me a couple weeks to go, all right, it's not going to keep it. It's not going to happen again.
Troy Franklin, is that one?
No, he's not a guy that I actually have much of.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking down. Here's one that it's mostly best ball, but I have one lineup league that I've been having to start him. But Christian Watson has come back and been pretty usable. Who knew? Of the team that everybody wish-casted a receiver over the last 2 or 3 years. And he was the one everybody – I mean, I remember over the summer, Shane, no one even talked about Christian Watson. It was like he's just going to be for sure out for the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden he's back, and he's by far the best option on the entire team. Like, that's how crazy this game is. I mean, literally he tore his ACL, I think, in week 17 last year, and people just wrote him – even in best ball. People were drafting Dontavian Wicks. Yeah. People are drafting Savion Williams. And it's like it ended up being Christian Watson. So that's another one. Any other random ones? I mean, there's been a few that have popped out of nowhere. Here's one. If you got in even after the first couple games where he was on the field and you probably didn't take it seriously, but I think it was week 2 or week 3, he had a good game. And if you would have just bought a share or had him to start, how about Parker Washington?
Yeah, Parker Washington's been one. Yeah. I made fun of him a lot last year. Like, what are we doing here? And then this year he's an actual legit receiver.
Here's one I got to be thankful for only one game. How about Kendrick Bourne, Shane? He showed up and he had 2 amazing games. He had averaged 10 targets a game, and then I'm pretty sure he doesn't have 10 targets in the last 6 games combined. So if you captured that 1 or 2 Kendrick Bourne games, like, thankful for him for popping up, having that rapport with Mac Jones, and then he goes away. So, Any others? Anything else in the fantasy space? Any coaches, teams that you've been thankful for?
Coaches. What?
There has to be a coach that's using players exactly how you want.
Let's see. There's what do you call that place? The Rams.
Yes, the Rams.
Sean McVay and shout out
passes to the guys you care about for the most part.
Shout out to Matthew Stafford as well. He heard me trashing him one evening in the NFL Game Day chat in the Discord about how he doesn't target Devonta enough at the goal line, and since then he's done nothing but target Devonta anytime he's at anywhere near the goal line. So thank you for that. Who else has a what's the word I'm looking for?
Thankful to Jerry Jones for trading for George Pickens.
Yeah, that is insane, that offense.
Now, we might not be thanking him if he screws up the relationship with George Pickens and then he forces George Pickens to go to, like, the Jets or something like that. But, that's one of those ones that if he stays in Dallas, man, like Ray and I talked about it on the Trinity show, like, how high do you move George Pickens? And I asked Ray, George Pickens or Drake London, George Pickens or Garrett Wilson, and it was like, I think I got to go George Pickens if he's on Dallas.
I would take George Pickens way over. Well, not way over, but I'd immediately take George Pickens over Garrett Wilson. Bro, the other day while I was watching the Eagles game through tears, I had thought of I might go offer CeeDee Lamb for George Pickens, but I went, it's a little reactive. Let's just hold off. Let's hold off. But
you'd never have thought you'd echo those words.
No,
12
absolutely.
months ago, George Pickens was arguing with, Mason Rudolph or Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. You know what I mean? Like you just
Yep.
never thought you would have been here. So here we are. Anything else you can think of? There's many others we could probably shout out that have given us random games or random trade opportunities or whatever it might have been. But it's been a fun season, a lot to be thankful for. Hopefully we win some ships.
Yes.
And things work out down the stretch. But final words before Thanksgiving, before we sign off for our great listeners.
We did all the thanking. So just everybody, if have a healthy, safe Thanksgiving. Don't drink and drive. I know Thanksgiving is a lot of drinking. I don't really partake much in my old age, but don't drink and drive. You could literally kill somebody and yourself. I mean, so yeah, don't that.
Deep fry the turkey in an enclosed space.
Yes,
and burn down your entire apartment complex.
Don't do that.
Many things. But no, thank you to everybody that supported us every week. We see the same people that are in the comments every single week, watching us live inside our Discord, supporting the community. I mean, it's awesome. So hopefully we finish the season strong. Enjoy the holidays with your family. Be ready to rock next week. We'll be down the stretch for the fantasy playoffs with only 1 week after this before the playoffs start. And hopefully we can bring home some ships and finish the year strong. So thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Manic and Chill is out.